JT and Low. You never know which way the rhythm go. Classic Conversations with JT and Low.
Hey, yo, what's up, people? It is time for Classic Conversations with JT and Low.
And my man, as a cop's not gonna be here tonight, so I'm not gonna say that all night, but I'm gonna say it a couple times.
About to get this thing going, man. About to get this thing going. Got a special guest that's gonna be in the house. Is gonna be in here a little later. For the time being, we do have another special guest. She is a special friend of the show. We're gonna talk about her in a minute. Right now, I just want to let you know you need to hit those buttons over there, the love button, the like button, the hug button. You can even get mad or you can cry with us. Either way, when you hit the button, it's going to help our
Algorithm.
go up. And I'm going to tell you something, man. I need for you guys to do this. You know, I talked to a lot of people this week. You know, I was on set and I was talking to some people, some other actors and everything. You know, we're an award-winning show right now. Talked to some people there, and they actually decided to do it while I was sitting there. So this is what I need for you to do. I need for you to go to Spotify. I need for you to go to Amazon Music. And I also need for you to go to YouTube. You know, go to TikTok also. Look up Classic Konversations, as both of those words start with a K. I'm sure that you know how to spell classic and conversation. Just take the C out, put the K in, and hit the button, people. But you know what? I got to ask you to hit it twice. Because I want you to hit it to subscribe, then I want you to hit it to share. I need you to put that thing on out there. But for tonight, I need for you to tune in. I want you to be a part of this conversation. We got some good stuff coming in tonight. Telephone number is going to be 404-500-1605. So make sure that you give us a call when you can. Of course, comment as you want. We would love for you to give us a call and be a part of the show. For the time being, Angelo.
Good, brother.
How was your week, my guy?
Fairly decent week, Teasy. You know what I mean? A lot of stuff was going on. You know, we played flag football tournament and lost in the semifinals 6-zip, so still a little salty about that. Who did I have this weekend at the club? We had Hope Flood and her crew. This week we got Rob Stapleton start on Thursday. So should be a good week. Yeah, man. So overall, man, I can't complain. Life is short. Life is sweet. Enjoy the moments. You know what I mean? We went... Told y'all about what happened last week, man. So I just came from my frat brother house and spent some time with him, and you know, the funeral's tomorrow. So yeah, man. How was your week, my brother?
My week was good, man. As you know, I wasn't here last week, so a little under the weather. Had to take precautions because I was actually on set for the Miss Pat show. I was scheduled to be on set Wednesday and Thursday. So, you know, I had to dope up a little bit on Tuesday night. Oh, yeah, I made it, bro. Both days.
You wasn't going to miss that, huh?
Both days, got them checks. Got them checks. Got them checks. Got them checks, boy. I got them checks. Yeah, I made it. Had a good time. Had a little commentary before the show started tonight. I'm not going to put that out live, but it was a good time. Miss Pat, she's different. Put it that way. She different. Yeah. But it was a good time. Met some great people. Actually met an up-and-coming comedian. I'm hoping to get her down here in Uptown, see if we can get on that stage and see what she could do. She says she's ready. I said, all right, if you're ready, you know, come on down. I'm going to hook you up with some people. We can get it done. You know, they have an open mic. You have Tuesday night where you can go down and share what you got and see what happened.
She's a comedian, or she's somebody who wants to be a comedian?
She says she is a comedian. She has, I think she said, 7 shows up under her belt. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I don't know what qualifies you as a comedian.
No. I didn't know if it was somebody who was just trying to go to the open mic. Yes.
She said people were laughing.
Gotcha.
But, and I asked, I said, you ready to do Uptown? She was like, yo, everybody keep asking me to do it. I'm like, yo. I said, well, listen, if you ready to do it, I can get you there.
So you got the plug.
Yeah, I got the plug. and she has a great story about life. So she's a possible, you know, guest on the show. You know how we like to do that. She has a great story about life. When you're on set, you do a lot of sitting and talking, getting to know people, and her story is interesting, pretty deep. Single black mother doing what she does, so you always want to hear those success stories. So I told her, I said, you know, maybe we can get something done next year. See what can happen with that. The weekend was good, other than 2 things happened this weekend. Well, 3 actually. Like you said, we lost in the tournament. And it was a long ride going back and forth out there. So to lose that was really heartbreaking because it was a long ride back home to thinking about it. But also my North Carolina Tar Heels was in the ATL this weekend. And I was told that I was being invited to, some box seats and everything. I just need to be stationary at 4:30 so that when they said come, I could come. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the tickets didn't happen. So I'm blaming that person for us losing because I was not in the building. They couldn't feel my spirit the way they should have felt it. I'm blaming that person. That's why we lost the game.
So you got one of my stories?
I'm blaming that person because I was not in the building. If I would have been there, we would have won the game. They'd known what to do. But, other than that, it was a great week. The wife wasn't feeling too well, but she's good to go right now. Everything is good. Today is actually our ring-iversary. I saw somebody put that up. 3 years ago today, I actually proposed to the wife of mine. Got on and took the pillow off the couch, put it on the floor, put my knee on it, and, proposed to her.
Is that a such thing, ring anniversary?
Somebody put it up there, but you know how wives do. She told me that last night. She wanted to go out tonight, but I knew we had
For
a
the ring
podcast.
anniversary?
For the ring anniversary. Yeah, you know how wives do. So that part. So before we get going to break, let's go ahead and introduce our one of our favorite guests, man. When this lady is on, I get so many questions afterwards. I wish y'all would call while she's here because I can't answer the questions. She's a professional. We got Dr. Cindy in the building. How you doing, lady?
I'm here, so I get excited to be here. Y'all know it's fun for me. I enjoy it.
After you leave, during the week, everybody's asking me stuff that they should be calling in and asking you. I'm like, listen, she's not teaching us.
Tag me.
We're not getting a degree that night. You know what I'm saying? You have to actually call in and ask her the questions because she's dope. She has no issues with giving you some free advice. It ain't gonna stay free for long, but she's gonna give you something to get you to come on in. So listen, man, we got Dr. Cindy here tonight. Glad to have her here. Our special guest is because of her. We're gonna go and put that out there. Our special guest is because of her. He'll be in the building a little later. But for the time being, my boss lady, how long we got right now? 6 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into this real quick.
Yeah.
You didn't have anything you want to jump on in this little small?
No, go
segment,
for it.
right?
Go for it.
I'm gonna jump on this real quick. Before I came on the show tonight, I was looking at TNT, TNT, NBA basketball, and Charles, Kenny, Ernie, Shaq, and they was talking about the Draymond Green suspension. The press release today from the NBA was that Draymond Green has started his counseling sessions, leading towards, hopefully leading towards his reinstatement, but it still may take about 3 weeks. So Shaq was doing a whole bunch of stuff with his face. You know how Shaq be doing. And finally they asked him, he didn't say nothing, but Ernie said, hey, man, what am I hearing over here? Because his face kept moving. Shaq said, man, I hate that y'all put that narrative on that man. Draymond Green does not need counseling. And the reason he said he does not need counseling was because off the court, he's a great man, he's intelligent, he's a great father, he's a great provider, all that type of stuff. What he does on the court has nothing to do with who he is as a man. So, sitting here with you, of course, it clicked. I said, you know what? I got to ask Dr. Cindy what she think about that. So what do you think about that? Somebody that does things in their line of work to the point that it's detrimental to their line of work, but when they're not at work, there actually seems calm and normal, at least in the public eye. What would you say to that in regards to counseling needs?
Well, so how often do we see him calm and normal? First off, right? So people who are close to him have a vision about him because they know. If you think about it, they very rarely show him outside of the court. Mm-hmm. Very rarely, right? They might show this, I think a commercial here and there. And if it wasn't an issue, why don't you see other people doing it as frequently as he does it? He stands separate in his display of emotions. They're public. Some emotions is people, we see them, they push, they going back to the game. You know what I mean? They might get pulled away and they know how to go so far. But you could do the statistics. There ain't many people paying millions of dollars in fines
Right.
because of their public display of emotion. And you don't have a public display of emotion if you don't have an emotion to display.
That was deep. You don't have a public display of emotion if you don't have an emotion to display. And this is, and I mean, he was making a couple of, I mean, I've seen Draymond as in regards to him looking for his next career, doing some broadcasting in basketball, doing some analyzing in basketball on certain shows. He has his podcast, and he does seem to be a very intelligent and analytical type human being. But then, when the things that happens, like I said, he does seems like a very intelligent and analytical human being. It just seems like if you're an analytical human being, you should know that
The 0 to 100 ain't not. It don't have to always be that, because you could analyze how this is gonna play out, because it's happened so many times, right?
So Shaq said this, and I get what he's saying. He said he's been doing this for years, and nobody's never done anything. And Draymond has said it. Listen, man, I ain't changed. I'm gonna be Draymond. So
in the words of Shannon Sharp, you either coach it or you condone it.
That's right.
And if you've been doing it for years and getting away with it for years, you either coach it or you condone it. So the organization obviously condones it.
So with that, because not only is the organization condoning it, the NBA has condoned it to a certain extent because they've never really brought the hammer down. Because we're not talking about one incident or two. We're talking about a lot over the years. And even the things, when you do things and people give you the benefit of the doubt, once you keep doing things, that benefit of the doubt, even for your past transgressions, will start changing.
Yeah.
You know, well, maybe he did do that on purpose. So with that being said, could this put him to a point to where, I'm saying Draymond feels that he's doing nothing wrong because the people that should be punishing him are not punishing him?
No, I think he knows what he's doing. I think he knows when he does it and how he does it, personally. And the reason I say that is there's a way, as an intelligent man who's a father and a husband and son and all of those things off the court, that you know how to pick your battles. If you know this how you feed your family, and you know this is what everybody, all these people are dependent on, why would you risk it? You know, it's kind of like the I can't even think of his name, Dennis Rodman, right? People used to think it was funny at times till it got to a point like, now dude needs some help, because that's not normal. I could see a one-off, right? You got a player who might have these fights on the court maybe once every 6, 7, 8, 9 games or something, but not every game you in, that's not normal. That's
All right.
not normal.
So listen, I know usually our first break, you know, all we do is talk about what we did on the weekend, but we had to drop this in since we got Dr. Cindy in the building. So listen, man, we'll be right back. We're going to talk about some of the events that's happened recently. HBCU school that was actually hit with some racial slurs while they was playing basketball. We might even talk about Charleston White a little bit.
Look what Frank said.
Classic Conversations with JT and Lo.
And ask a cop.
Yo, people, we are back. We are back again, man. We got Dr. Cindy in the building, so you can give us a call. If you got an issue, give us a call. Talk about it. 404-500-1605. Want to go over some of these comments real quick. Hey, wife. My wife Casper said, that's deep. One of the main issues we carry in life is all the trauma that we may have hidden, and we wear masks not to reveal the pain or relive it. And that's something in regards, let's say with Drake, and I'm not saying that this is people, I'm not saying that this is actually what the issue is with Draymond, but it is an explanation that could be applied to it, that there's certain traumas that he has carried to where you do carry yourself in a certain way in a public persona, but then when your emotions are flying, say in basketball, those traumas, it resurfaces in this way, and it has nothing to do with basketball.
No, because you have to think the adrenaline is running to win the game, right? So we don't want to lose. And if my adrenaline is running to win the game, the brain has already shifted to be in fight mode, right? So it's fight or flight, flee. I'm not running, I'm trying to lose. So by any means necessary, I know that if I attach the anger, the thoughts, the things that make my adrenaline push me further, right? That puts me in a different perspective. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if down the road they found steroids and just different things that takes these people to these levels where there's 5 players on the court, 10 at most at one time. Why is it at least one person out of 10 people that's just overly angry on a regular basis? Now, it's fair that all 10 people got trauma. They ain't all releasing it, because there's not a human walking the earth that doesn't have trauma. Not one. Nobody's oblivious to it. It's how you handle and release the trauma you have that differs you from the others.
That's interesting, because in football, you can take your aggressions out and it actually not be look like an aggression.
Because that's that type of game.
Because you
You know what I'm saying? That's what you do.
At least you used to.
I think it's a matter of and it could be all those things, but it seems that Draymond, and I've met him a couple of times, and it was Magic City, but so it was a different vibe, but but man, but I never seen, but
There's no way to be mad.
Yeah.
Magic City.
Yeah, it was a different vibe and all.
I'm good.
But it just seems like this guy is trying to mimic players like a Dennis Rodman and trying to mimic certain attitudes and be like, I'm gonna be the enforcer for my team. But it seems like, how sometimes you can do something so long, you start
Becoming that person.
Yeah.
You can tell a lie long enough to where you start believing a lie.
Yeah.
Yourself.
And it's like, that's, so now this is what I'm going to do, because
Yeah.
if you look at his first couple of years, he wasn't doing that.
Right. But once it got the attention.
Yeah. And people started calling him this. He's the enforcer. He's the guy that's going to do that. He's the guy that's going to do that. Now you got to live up to this monitor. You know what I mean? It's like.
Man, that's a good point. Because you're right. His first couple of years, he wasn't
like
that guy.
that. Wasn't like that.
And then I just I put into them agents and managers and all that. If he ain't getting no money for working, you know what I'm saying? Y'all ain't either.
See, Fraser is out the low and Draymond for supporting single moms. Well, he's silly.
And that's what Kenny Smith said on the show tonight. He said, even if there's only a counseling that he needs from in-house counseling in regards to general management, coaching, these other players, even though Draymond is he's like one of the elder statesmen in the room, so it's kind of hard for a younger player to say something to Draymond, even though they could, but it's kind of hard that Draymond would listen. But, just the things within the last calendar year, man, the punch of his teammate.
Come on, man.
The stomping of the dude in the chest, the punching of the teammate. Then what happened last season? Something happened last season. Then something else happened last season though. Then he choked Gobert. Then he had this. Yeah. So
that's why I say it's being condoned, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When he punched his teammate, that jump should have been nipped then. There should have been no.
And then they trade the teammate.
And then, I think somebody made a
Coach
good
it
comment.
or
like,
condone it.
Yeah,
You
that
trade
little money they
you
make
trade the
campaign, he
teammate that
missing
got punched. You
He
trade
missing
him.
that. Right.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like play money or something.
That's what Frank said. He said playing with monopoly money, no concept of reality. When you make that much money, it almost seems inconsequential to him. He loses daily what most of us are making in a year and doesn't bat an eye. He has to make better decisions, in my opinion. If he chooses to give away money like that, that's on him. Someone in his family whom he respects has to advise him to do better. And his mom has. I think the Jordan Poole punch was valid.
I thought about yeah, his mom passed too. You're right.
Yeah.
That happened
Oh,
also
really?
within the last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that speaks a lot. That speaks a lot. That speaks a lot.
I was only gonna say that and then they have some players that take care of their fines. Like, the agents may take care of the fine, or like the players association, if you know what I'm saying, things like that. Like,
Yeah, that does
so
happen.
so like you said, it's almost like they're condoning it when they do that. You know what I'm saying? They're like, well, I didn't think it was that egregious, so I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that fine for you. And it's like, why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like you said, it's not showing you know what I'm saying, that he's doing something wrong. So,
But he totally is. I so didn't know about him losing his mom. That speaks a lot to his actions. And I'm going to tell you why. First off, she was an intricate part in his life, right? It's kind of like the Kanye syndrome, because that's a syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
a
believe that.
syndrome. Like, boys have always needed their mothers. And those, just think, what I'm saying, how attached you are to your mom. I got to keep moving because of the type of job I have. When did he have time to grieve? When did he have time to mourn? And people don't understand how serious that is. Celebrities, I think about this, Shaq, right? Shaq lost his sister, he just kept moving,
great
right?
point.
Because of the jobs they have and all of that, they really never have the time to stop, drop, and roll. So they do it in that very small, intricate part of their life. That's a couple hours out the day?
Right.
Wow. So good. Got some comments. We'll go over them, and then we get into this HBCU thing.
Frank says his role made a living being the enforcer, screen setter, and passes. We know he can't shoot, but he made a living in acting out. He punched his teammate, stomps Sabonis in the playoffs. Armani, what up, Armani? Armani Jones checked in and said he did what he was allowed to do until it got unjustifiable, is what it is. And I don't even know if it's the Kanye West effect. Yeah, Ben said the same thing. But he also said the punch was valid. I don't know the punch was valid.
It was good. It was a good punch. It was a good punch. That's for sure. I mean, he hit him solid. Yeah, hit him solidly. Right, sent him all the way to D.C. Right.
Armani said, I snap at Burger King. They ain't caring about my mama. It's a new nigga on fries tomorrow. That's funny, Armani. And a true story.
Oh, my God.
All right, man. So moving on. HBCU school, Norfolk State University, was playing at Indiana State University. And during the game, there was some racial slurs that was slung out at a player or players. The game was slowed down. The referee actually slowed the game down, took the players off the court, and Norfolk State player went and told his coach what was said. Well, his coach actually started pointing to the fans that was throwing the racial slurs, started walking that way. The coach for Indiana State, who is Italian, started getting irate, wanting Norfolk State's coach to get a technical. Well, they ended up coming face to face as if they were going to fight. After the game was over with, they're investigating still, but 3 fans was actually kicked out of the game, removed from the game. But after the game was over with, the Indiana State coach said, the emotions got heated. I'm an Italian, and that's what happens. So Norfolk State coach come out and said, you know what, I am not happy with that non-apologetic apology. You know, nobody from Indiana State, the coach, or nothing has apologized for what happened to my players. So it just made me, you know, right now there's a lot of HBCUs that's being scheduled on some of these bigger name schools in basketball. Happens in football too, but basketball is where things get more personable because your fans are right up on the court. And I just wonder, you know, the HBCUs are doing these games for great paydays. I think Jackson State is traveling for 18 straight games or 12 straight games, some crazy number before they have a home game. And they're going to all of these bigger schools, getting these paydays. So I wonder how much this actually happens to where these kids are being attacked with racial slurs.
Every game.
You feel as if you think it's probably every game?
Every game. We gotta say it's just some people bold enough. Like, okay, so each college has this prep team, right? They have their own individual pep rallies during the game where they're like the crowd
Ones with no
pleasers,
shirts on and
right?
stuff, yeah.
Them the ones. They literally are they are interviewed and like cheerleaders. Like they literally come in and their whole goal is to distract the team. Whole goal, right?
Right.
They do it all the time. There are laws. Like I was a cheerleading coach for years. There are certain rules. Let me say that, not laws. There are certain rules that they say you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't do this, and you can call them out, and that can make them sit down, literally. You can't chant, like taunt one another. It's against the rules for cheerleaders, and the stand reps, they're not supposed to do it either. So that's how they're easily able to get ejected. It's just everybody don't call them out all the time. But it happens all the time.
I believe that.
It's a serious thing.
I believe that. There was another school had an issue, and it was football, I believe, where they had a big incident with they would call all the racial slurs. And then there was a high school where recently where they did the exact same thing, and the kids got to fighting. And remember, I think we talked about it, and they just suspended the black school from the playoffs.
I
We
did.
talked about it on the
I did.
podcast.
I did read about that.
Yeah,
I did
so-
read about that. And I think it does happen more. I think on the field in football, I could see it happen a lot. The players being able to hear it.
It was the stands that led to it on the field.
Wow.
Yeah.
And see, with basketball, because the fans are so close to the players, and there's no helmets, there's nothing there. It's just them. I just wonder how many HBCUs are just not reporting it, or
Well, I think
ignoring it, or
I think this is really the first time that they've been able to mingle and come to these levels. Like there was times where HBCUs could only play certain HBCUs.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
that's a
saying?
fact.
So now it's like
I
they
would-
wouldn't really have that issue.
yeah,
'cause
I would
it
say
was,
it's over
you
the
know,
last 10 years.
Yeah.
That you're getting more HBCU basketball teams being invited to play at these
Think about why.
blue bloods or these bigger name schools. The
Ain't
type of
nobody
deal.
going to school.
It's a payday.
Right.
It's a payday
so
for the
now it's
HBCUs.
like these kids, they reading on certain levels. They're not even getting in college, let alone to be able to play the sport. So they had to keep the athletic stuff going. So they had to start mingling and mixing in divisions.
Yeah, I know it's a big payday for them.
Huge.
I've never liked it because of. I'll never forget. I saw a score one day. I was flipping, and it was Kentucky and Savannah State, and it was halftime, and it was like 75 to like 14 or 17. And I saw that it was halftime, and all I could think about was the kids of Savannah State. Do you know what that could do to the confidence of a kid that plays basketball, thought he was pretty good, and now you getting beat 75 to 17?
Sure. LSU played one of them the other day. Andrew Reese had more points than their whole team did
Yeah, and
by herself.
And I get it. It's the payday. So all of you HBCU kids out there playing ball right now, y'all need to give homage to the folks that came before y'all, because they took a beating. They took a beating for y'all to have the facilities that y'all got. They took a beating. You need to pay homage to the ones before because, again, I get it. It's a payday. But, I just wonder how much of that is going on and is just either not being reported, being ignored because of the paydays. I don't know. But I would love, I hope that somebody, the NCAA, somebody will take a look at this and try and protect these kids more in regards to that. And the comments on there, let me see, not just HBCU, it happens in high school and other colleges. It happened at the Steelers game while fans were saying stuff to Titans players and families. Me and Lowe, not me, but Frank. What's up, Frank? Frank and Lowe stood with the Titans fans, Kenny Britt family. I can't see.
Says we are black first.
Okay, we are black first. Ridiculous that you have to be exposed to the kind of stuff at sporting events.
That's a true story. Yeah. We're going to stand with folks. Certain barriers now.
Right.
Certain barriers. Millennials say HBCUs playing these PWIs increased, of course, as a cash grab. I remember being in college, we played Wofford and Georgia Southern the same year, and they beat us so bad. But I know those schools paid our program handsomely to warm up on us. Yeah. Nice little warm up, little tune up game. 83 to 3.
On ESPN 5 and all them.
All right, we're gonna move on to something else before we go to break. Actor Jonathan Majors was found guilty of assault and harassment. It was a split decision. I think he was found guilty on 2 counts and found innocent on 2 other counts. But as soon as it happened, Marvel dropped him. Dropped him quick. I wasn't following it as much because I was surprised that it actually went to trial. After the old girl that came out and tried to recant everything, I was surprised. So I thought that this would really go quietly, but I was surprised to see that he was found guilty on anything. That they put it as 2nd and 3rd degree. They brought in, basically, if you read about this, if you're in a relationship, your spouse or your girl or your man can actually put some charges on you, and there ain't nothing you can do about it because some of the stuff that they were speaking about that he was guilty of, it's regular relationship stuff.
To people who ain't signed by Marvel. It's regular relationship stuff.
Now, you might not get that payday,
exactly.
but
and I think why is it, right? We common folk have to think about, making those decisions as people before we get to that level, right? We saying, all right, we get this check cash. You gotta stop doing the stuff you did pre that check, bro.
But the thing is, if you're this, and I read a couple of things, it sounded like it was just some things that he's, women and men argue about certain things. He's gonna say no, she's gonna say no, I want to do it. She's gonna say no, he's gonna say yeah, I want to do it. They put that as psychological trauma.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Casper psychologically traumatized me earlier today. Yeah, man. She wanted to do something. I ain't want to. She said hey too. But of course, in our life, it's not as large of a scale as it is with Jonathan Majors. That is sad, man.
And it is, but that's stuff that people who are getting that type of exposure and able to feed your, think of how long it take you to get, let's think about it. You're in a limelight. You're an actor. You do a lot of things, right? And you don't just keep trying to get these gigs to not just keep small gigs. No, you want to get to a point where if a Marvel say, hey, we'd like for you to be Superman the 5th or something, whatever that looks like, right? Now, why you don't ever think about how long it took you to get that contact first? Just them to call you. You ain't no way in the world you get that kind of job and trick it off because you couldn't stop, drop, and roll in the middle of a heated conversation. Nah, man, you ain't got no business tricking. You ain't got no business tricking that off. I don't care who you are. You ain't got no
Well,
business
if I make it
tricking
big,
that off.
I'm coming out at the beginning and tell you everything I did wrong.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Classic Conversations with JT and Love. We'll be right back.
Classic Conversations with JT and Low. You never know which way to rap. Classic Conversations with JT and Low. You never know which way the rhetoric is gonna go. Classic Conversations with JT and Low. Classic Conversations with JT and Low. You never know which way the rhetoric is gonna go. Classic Conversations with JT and Low. You never know which way the rhetoric. Classic Conversations with JT and Low. You never know which way the rhetoric is gonna go. It's Classic Conversations with JT and Low. You never know which way the rhetoric is gonna go. Classic Conversations.
Classic Conversations with JT and Low.
And Ask a Cop now.
And we back, you dig? Listen, people, I need for y'all to hit those buttons over there, man. I'm looking at my feed, and I don't see none of them little buttons being touched. And I've had, at one point, it was 13 people watching, and not one button was touched. I need for you to hit the buttons, man. The like button, the love button, the hug button, the laugh button. You can even get mad or cry. Either way, when you hit the buttons, it's going to help our
algorithm.
It's going to go up, man. So I need for you to do that because as I've been telling you, man, we are on Amazon Music. We're on YouTube. And we are also on Spotify. So I need for you to go there and hit the buttons, people. Just hit it twice, just like this. Hit it, subscribe, hit it again to share. The share one has that arrow on it. Share it to other people so that they can do the same thing. When you share it, ask them to do the same thing. That's all we ask. That's all we asking. We are an award-winning podcast. You dig? Did you hear what I said? We are an award-winning podcast. So listen, need for you to do what you got to do. So we're going to get this thing going. Listen, man, we have our special guest in the building. Y'all saw me post it earlier. Former NBA champion, retired NBA player, Atlanta Zone. You don't mind if I call you Atlanta Zone, do you?
I hope you do for all my South Side folks.
There it is, Atlanta Zone. See, I know some history here with basketball. with
Yeah, I
basketball.
definitely hope you do.
So listen, Atlanta Zone, Josh Powell is in the building. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm blessed. I'm feeling good. I just left service, so you know.
Good deal.
About to get to talking my talk on here.
All right, well, I'm going to get this part out first. I got to get this part out first because you got to understand, I'm a diehard North Carolina Tar Heel fan. So
Okay.
you gave me some bad moments at times. So I just want to get that on out the way. You know, it's cool. It's cool. You know,
That was one of my choices.
So why didn't you choose it?
So
You ain't
NC State, all of their seniors were in my position. That's why I was
Understood.
come in and play.
I can't even be mad at you no more. I'm cool with it now. I'm cool with it now. Because back then I was really following, high school basketball, and I knew you was one of them guys. And when I saw you committed to NC State, I was like, what does that? But I understand now. I understand totally. But yeah, all is forgiven. All is forgiven.
I appreciate that.
Good guy, good guy. I love what you've done in the league. There's so many people that go into the league that try and be that. A lot of people don't know how to go into the league and find their niche, find their role, and succeed at it.
Absolutely.
Two-time champion, correct?
Should have been 3, but yes.
I give you that. I give you that.
I'm still hurt about.
Still hurt
about 05, 06 rather. Jeez.
I give you that. Well, listen, man. Congratulations to you and everything that you've done. We appreciate you being here. Picking little old us. But we are an award-winning podcast right now, so appreciate you being here.
Appreciate you.
We're going to start off with some basketball stuff, then we're going to get into some stuff about your book. First thing I have to ask you, since we just finished talking about Draymond, tonight on, TNT, Shaq said, Shaquille O'Neal said that Draymond doesn't need counseling because he's a great guy off the court. So it's what he's doing on the court is what he's been doing for years, and it should not. The narrative shouldn't be that he needs counseling, because I think Shaq still thinks that when people say you need counseling, you're crazy type of deal. As a former guy that was out there in those lines, how do you feel about that in regards to not just say him, just any player that was kind of teetering that line?
I mean, I think that that's kind of like a scary narrative, considering that good guys need help too. It's not like a good or bad guy thing. You know, Draymond is still human at the end of the day. So therefore, human beings can make decisions, mistakes. They can find themselves in unfortunate situations. And at the end of the day, man, he needs help just like anybody else. And, you know, it's funny because, you know, Shaq talked about, you know, a lot of the things like the way he was groomed, you know, not being able to express and do certain things because that's something that he was taught. You know what I mean? That doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong.
Right.
That's just his experience. You know what I mean? So he's speaking from that lens. And I'm not here to judge him for that. I was brought up on, you know, not talking about how you feel. I was brought up on not crying or showing emotion. I was brought up on all of these things that make, you know, me as a young man at that time, or even as a man now, that's soft and that's not how you're supposed to behave or maneuver. So I get both sides of it. But I think that in this day and age, we do have to do better. We have to unlearn and relearn. You know, that's the
Absolutely.
important part about it.
People, this about to be a great interview. This is about to be a great interview. I loved every word you said. Oh, wow. Go ahead, Angelo. I'm still in that. I love it. Oh.
Well, listen, we've been talking about this all week, especially since Dr. Cindy called it, you know. So we can't have you on this show without having asked this question about what did it mean while you were playing with that man, Kobe Bean Bryant, and I mean, just give us a brief of what that experience was like for people who all, you know, we admire certain people from afar, and you were right there.
No, absolutely. I mean, where do I start? You know, it's interesting. Kobe came to the South Side and showed love when I presented a check at my high school.
Wow.
And they still talk about that to this day. Like, we did that on a game day. You know, we came down here, me, him, D. Fish. On a game day, I presented a check for $20,000 to my school. And it was to help better the education because at that time, Clayton County, if I'm not mistaken, had lost its accreditation. So, you know, just trying to, you know, help further providing resources and things like that. When I talk about Kobe, I think the on the court speaks for itself. I more so like to speak to the man.
Okay.
And watching him be a great husband, a great father, and a great friend. And I think that's why it hit a lot of people as hard as it did. You know, if you notice, it seemed like everybody had a Kobe story.
Right.
Everybody.
Yeah.
You know, the way that he touched people, especially the latter part of his playing career and as he transitioned into chapter 2, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
He devoted so much and a lot of things that, you know, we didn't see or hear about, and, you know, things that we did, you know, and I think for me, that's what I love to lean on often, is just making sure he receives his flowers as a man first.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? I think
That's
that
real.
means most. I know I paid my tribute. I tattooed and gave my dedication, but I think words can never really quite express how much he meant to so many people. And for me, that's always going to be a heavy time because he passed a day after my birthday. So it's like,
Wow.
I'll never forget that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I remember where I was at when
Wow.
I got the call. I like the emotions. It was just a lot of different things. I know me personally, I'm going through things, you know, with my co-parenting situation. I'm going through things with my kids. And the emotion that I felt that, you know, not only with Kobe and his daughter, but, you know, there were 9 people that lost their life that day.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, and that was, you know, fathers with their kids, and it was just a really unfortunate situation. So I always just like to remind people just about the beautiful human being that he was.
Wow.
That's what's up. That's good.
You know, I think I always thought that day, what did you all think, right? I can remember being at brunch with my girlfriend that day. I can remember the world just stopping. I remember the entire restaurant phone going crazy and everybody
Right.
looking around like, is y'all look at, did anybody, right? And so now I always thought, what did his team think that day,
So
right? Or just friends, rather.
Right. So for me, I think it's like 3 things that come to mind. For one, being that he's somebody as iconic as he is, we haven't seen a tragedy like that in, you know, a really long. I mean, probably talking about what, since Mike
Michael
maybe.
Jackson.
Yeah.
We talking about somebody who is a global
Sure.
brand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Somebody who's arguably one of the best 3 players to ever play the game
In the entire world,
in the
right?
entire world, no
Yeah.
matter what. And the amount of success, you know, he's always been at a high level since he's entered the league. I think of the pain that I felt because, for one, you know, I wonder what Vanessa's going through. You know,
Sure.
I wrote a post just speaking to, you know, the pain that she must feel because, I mean, you married him, you know what I mean? And you
Right.
stuck with him through thick and
Right.
thin, literally,
That's right.
you know.
Facts.
Grew up together, basically.
Grew up together. I mean,
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't speak to it, but I mean, you know, the charge was something, you know, during that time.
Sure.
Yeah.
And this man had to rebrand himself,
That's right.
you know, on and off the court.
Most amazing story I think ever.
So, you know, just what is she going through? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I imagine myself being on the helicopter to kind of see Kobe and what was he like, because he is so fearless.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Yeah.
would he be the type of person to keep everybody calm, even though he know what's about to happen? Like, I replay that because I know him.
Because you know him.
You know what I mean? And that
Wow,
was
that's deep.
painful in itself. Then I think I couldn't imagine going down with one of my kids.
I can
It's a
right.
lot that I can break down because it's
Right.
like, you know, it's so fresh for me. And then one thing that I don't want to forget, because, you know, maybe my kids might see this, but it was upsetting to me because I try to always tell them how present we have to be, and tomorrow's never promised.
That's
That's
right.
right.
And that's why I feel some type of way because, you know, like a lot of times people, even in my situation, for those who know and those who don't, cool, but I'm very open and vocal about the ups and downs of co-parenting and being on the same page.
Yeah.
And it's not to bash or
Right.
anything, but it's to really help people, especially our men.
That's right.
Well, this is not a black issue.
That's right.
This is men going through
That's right.
this court system and being
Yeah.
taken advantage of, and
Yeah.
having your kids being turned on you, and parental alienation, which has been something that's been talked about over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really like a pandemic. You know,
Wow.
the what we experience as men and as fathers, and a lot of times, you know, even one of my partners today, and I know he meant well, and I'm not saying that he's wrong, but when it's like they'll come around, and my first response is, bro, but who's to say tomorrow's ever promised?
That's
Right.
right.
You
That's
know,
real.
Or
like
why are we not growing through what we go through, right? We got to grow through it.
Because it's easier to stay stuck in that pain.
It's so easy, right? And I think those are the conversations. I always say this. It's profound that you so eloquently can describe your pain to another man, right? And then myself. But I wish, like, you like this whole billboard of this pain right now, because it is like a pandemic. So many men are like the Twizzlers in their life. They're just twisted with what's going on. I don't really know how to come out of this. My brain is just going on and on and on. Am I the victim? Is it my fault? Where did we go wrong? I remember when you loved me. I remember when I loved you. And maybe it's still a lot of that still. But why do we get where we don't learn to grow through what we go through?
Because we rather have people that want to be right. I rather
real.
I come to you and I can paint this story and tweak it a certain type of way for you to be like, oh, big dog, you okay? How dare they do you like that,
Right.
right?
Charlie
But the first
Brown
thing that I
gang.
come with is I know I hold myself accountable. You know what I'm saying? I chose the women.
No, that's
I may not have chose some of the situations that happened. That's another conversation. But I chose these people. I laid up with them. You know, I poured into them. I did the best that I could. I'm not saying that I'm perfect, and I hold myself accountable. I don't claim to be the best partner. I don't claim to be the best man ever. I don't claim to be the best father, but I try.
That's right.
Your efforts, you know what I mean? Or excuse me, my efforts, I feel are unmatched in that category.
Absolutely.
And I can say that with my chest out.
That's right.
Because my efforts doesn't mean that I'm not going to fall, that I'm not going to trip up or stumble, but I'm going to keep going. I'm going
I
to
ain't
keep
gonna
getting
quit.
up.
That's right.
I wasn't built that way.
Yeah.
You
That's
know what I'm
right.
saying? I
Yeah.
ain't got no quit in me. So I definitely make sure that, you know, I hold myself accountable first, but I will say this, and I'm going to stand by this, that a lot of men are victims.
Okay.
A lot of men are victims, right? And not to hang our hat on that piece of it, but there's games being played that some men get and some men don't. Like you have no idea some of the games that your significant other could be playing. Somebody that tell you that they love you. Somebody could look you dead in your face, tell you how much they love you, and then treat you a certain type of way.
Yeah, but I think, you know, interestingly, it's common, Josh. It's
It
very
is
common.
It is common.
And you have to think gender. You know, so
I
funny.
can't imagine
Right.
the games that
He had
he
to.
had.
Right. Right.
Because
Yeah.
I'm non-custodial also, and I know the games that can be played, but I can't imagine the games that he had to deal with. The games that I've dealt with were, yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, at your level, I can just imagine, and what were you saying?
I just
Did you
think to
know?
your point though, it's all scary because
It
you know it's not. Yeah, I've been able to achieve some things, right? But for me, I'm still a man at the end of the day. You know, that's how I carry it. I don't want anybody to put me in some place, and I feel like that's a part of my humility too. You know, remaining. And I know some people say humble is a bad word, and I don't think it is.
Somebody said that?
Yeah, I've seen those clips where they like look up the definition of humble. You know what I'm saying? And there's a negative to it, but for me, I understand that I have so much more room to grow. I don't know everything, and I think that for me, that's my place of power. Because once you become the teacher, you know what I mean, and you get comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, and you feel like you got it all, and you can tell it like that's a scary place to be, bro. We all are learning.
Right.
Every day.
I'm different at 40 than I was at 35.
Right.
And when I turn, if God allows me to, and I make it to 45, I'm gonna be different at 45 than I was at 40.
Absolutely, because
You
you
know,
gotta grow.
You
And-
have to.
And in addition to growing, you have to understand that there's this path we're on, right? I always look at the tree being the roots in the sky, and the leaves being on the bottom. And you know, the leaves die, and they go to wind that we don't see. Pick up the leaves and they fly all around, right? You don't be able to pick the leaf up off your shoe and carry it in the house. And those are the people that represent who was with us on that branch. Everybody ain't gonna stay
Wow.
because they not gonna grow with you.
Damn.
You have to make a conscious decision to grow in yourself and whoever is with you. If they grow, some leaves don't never leave a branch.
Let me
And
tell
then
you
some
this.
branches never lead a tree.
And some
And when
Branches
you
never leave the
focus
tree.
on that way,
I like that.
right, you got to know. Is it a little sad that they left? It is. But I like when it die and come back bloomed in the spring and you weren't supposed to be here.
But you know what's funny? When you grow and mature, that sadness goes away.
It should.
Because for me, like, I'm in a place of space, man, I could love you and be like, bro, you good over there.
Right.
That looks good on
Right.
you.
Over there.
That is good on you.
Stay that way.
That
Because,
right.
because you prioritize things differently.
Yeah.
You understand the importance of your health and wellness.
Yeah.
That for me is everything.
Yeah,
I want to be healthy. See, a lot of people, they focus on one part of this thing. I want to be healthy mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and physically.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave no stone unturned.
That's right.
I want to be a complete man
That's right.
at the end of the day. That's my goal. You know what I'm saying? So I've had to do a lot of work and unpack and all of these different things because I'm trying to figure out how to be better. And as I do that, that also helps me release a lot of that guilt too from some of these relationships and decisions that's been made.
Yeah.
I can be at peace
That's
because
right.
I understand the chapter or the season or whatever that is. Like, I can be cool with that.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something.
Go ahead.
I didn't know where you were going with the trees and the dead leaves, but wow,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be using that.
Now she hit that.
one.
That was another one of them home runs right there.
I promise you, I was sitting there going, "Where is that?
I got a couple comments for you, Josh, real quick. Frank says, shout out to Josh. I can only speak for me, but I'm very impressed with him as a person. I love black excellence. Congratulations, way to represent us. He still should have been a Tar Heel, but otherwise awesome.
My man Frank, my dog."
Salute, Frank.
Before we go to break, Glenn wants to know two things. Number one, what was your inspiration as a player? And number two, will the Hawks ever win a championship?
Just be like that in my own city. Golly.
Hold up, we're not going to break. We're going to come right back on that, and we're going to come back on that. A couple more questions about sports, and we're going to get into your book, Classic Konversations with JT and Lowe. We'll be right back.